20-point caliber guy, if he's like that for the rest of his time, he'll get 960 points in that entire span, which added onto his current point record of 484 points, would put him in the top. What's the garage door? I got it. Whoa there. Slow down, partner. This is not the video that I think y'all have made it out to be. What we're doing in this video is talking about the Detroit Red Wings and a very good forward on the team, whose name has been kind of tossed out here, not too seriously, but seriously enough to take it seriously. And a guy who, if you wanted to say there was kind of a trade conversation building itself up about him, I don't think it would be entirely false, but at the same time, it's not one of these things where it's all too big of a deal. So, we're heading over to Detroit and talking about it. But Patrick Kane, for all intents and purposes, has been good with the Red Wings. 35 years old, he signed to the end of the season, making $2.75 million a year, and he's got 14 points in 60 games played at the time of recording this audio. 6 goals, 8 assists. He's on pace for 51 points in 58 games with a 20-goal season. Not bad for a guy who had just signed on like a few months into the year and who had to take all the summer off. Pretty much relearning how to move and how to skate. Kane has gone through a miraculous journey, doubting all the haters who said that this surgery would end his career, that this surgery was something that no other NHL player has come back from and actually played well afterwards. That still may be the case, but now there's one. Patrick Kane, ladies and gentlemen, he's gone out there and defied the odds. That's the big thing that I think a lot of people were sort of bringing up, that yeah, you could talk about Kessler, you could talk about Backstrom, you could talk about the Trumanovskis and everybody else who had the surgery and who weren't able to come back. But Patrick Kane is better than all of them. And if there's anybody that's going to go out there and prove everybody wrong in this situation, it's going to be Patrick Kane. Who else is it going to be? But because Kane is in a position where he is signed and he does have trade protection on his contract, take a look at the move. He's got a no-trade clause. Because the Red Wings are in a pretty interesting spot in the NHL standings, there was sort of an idea that was brought up by a few insiders over the past few weeks, debating whether or not Patrick Kane could, would, or should be actually in the trade conversation. How, if the Wings are okay, but not good enough to make the playoffs, maybe we could see a Patrick Kane swap at the deadline where he goes over to a contender and he ends up trying to win a Stanley Cup. The Wings right now, as of recording this audio, are 4th in the Atlantic Division. They've got 44 points in 40 games played, and they are 2 points out of a wild card spot. Actually, they're tied for a wild card spot with New Jersey, but they've got 2 more games played, so they're technically not in it. If the Wings were to falter as the year went on, could we see a Patrick Kane trade? That's what this video goes out there and tries to answer, as we had ourselves David Pagnotta making an appearance on SiriusXM NHL Radio earlier this weekend. Now, I'm going to be honest, I do not have any audio ready or whatever to go out there and listen to this yourself. I tried to find if SiriusXM has any podcasts on the Apple app or on Spotify. I could not find it. If anybody else is able to find it, then hey, you're smarter than I am. Leave a link in the description if anybody wants to go ahead and listen to it. But essentially, SiriusXM NHL Radio is pretty much what it is. It's talking about hockey all the time, and David Pagnotta is a very frequent contributor on these segments. Because Pagnotta made an appearance earlier this week, we had ourselves the update as to what the Red Wings may actually do with Patrick Kane, with Pagnotta's assessment being available through transcription. Here's an article published on NHLRumors.com by Jim Behringer, who went out there and transcribed Pagnotta's recent interview on the Power Play show with SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, Steve Koulias, and Carter Hutton. Here is the transcription as written out by NHLRumors.com. Steve Quired, he's doing his job. He didn't get a point last time, though. He's got 13 points in 14 games, but with the Wings, there's not enough room. I don't think there will be a wildcard team from the Atlantic Division. I honestly don't. I think it's going to be Boston, Florida, Toronto, or Florida, Boston, Toronto, and that's it. The race, the bids, I'm sorry, John, my buddy Cooper, but there are too many good teams in the Metro. But anyway, what about Detroit then flipping number 88? Pagnotta goes out there and says, I'd be a little surprised because I think the mindset was that if this works out this season, he'll be in Detroit longer. If things kind of go well, at least from Kane's perspective, then that's the kind of plan it would be because initially, remember guys, he wanted a 3-year contract out the gate when things started and everybody was very hesitant about that. They wanted to see how Kane could perform. How would he come back from surgery on hip replacement, so we'll see kind of how this evolves and how you could definitely change your mind. But I think initially, out of the get-go, this was a let's do it, a 1 year, let's see how you perform. If things go well, we'll keep you around for at least another season or two and sign a 2-year deal type of situation. But I think the mindset going in was kind of a 3-year type of commitment, and then kind of explore from there. So I would be at least right now a little surprised if that changes, at least from Kane's perspective. He certainly knows he has options, but those options were going to be similar to what he had last season as well. So I think, from Detroit's perspective, another team waits and sees where they're at. But the Wings have got some other pieces on expiring deals that if they do decide to sell, whether it's a Gosling there or even David Perron, and both of these guys have some trade protection, then I think they would look in that direction instead of having Kane. But we'll see. Again, another environment, another situation that's a little bit too early right now to draw any conclusions. So I'm going off of my gut here, and I'm choosing to believe that this transcription is real. That this is what David Pagnotta went out there on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio and said. Again, I don't have the audio on hand, so I can't really verify it, but the article that we pulled this from will be linked in the description if you want to read this yourself and do whatever you please with it. Also give NHLRumors.com some ad views because they kind of deserve it for transcribing this entire thing. I'll admit the transcription kind of feels like AI at some point, but it's better than nothing, right? So hearing this update from Pagnotta, seeing that Patrick Kane's initial idea when he wanted to get a contract signed in the first place was 3 years, only for teams to go out there and offer him a max amount of 1, the idea that Pagnotta is presenting is that, hey, this 3-year idea is still there. It's just divided. It's not 3 years right off the gate. It's 1 year and then 2 years. It's Kane saying that he wants this 3-year plan with a team that he can commit to, and if the team feels that he's an appropriate fit, they'll go beyond the 1-year contract because no team wanted to give him a 3-year contract right away, considering the health reports and the concerns with that surgery. It's interesting as well to note that there is some sort of an update on other guys, that David Perron could get traded, that Gosling could get traded, should the Wings find themselves in a non-competitive position by the time the trade deadline rolls around. But it's also interesting because for a lot of these other guys, you could say that there is a lot of value that would be given up on should you try to trade Gosling away, for example. He's got 28 points in 39 games played this year. He's been such a beast on the power play for this team. David Perron, on the other hand, he's literally at half a point a game, 17 points, 34 games played, but there is sort of a very didactic attitude that Perron presents every time he's out there on the ice. You can feel his presence missing when he was suspended earlier in the year. That was a thing that I thought a lot of Red Wings fans were bringing up, that, hey, this team lacks a lot of intensity when Perron is not in the lineup, and there's value in that. Whether or not you think it's a lot of value, there's still value there. So my question to you here is, Patrick Kane, okay, we're probably going to assume he's not getting traded. David Perron, what's the situation there? Do you think he gets flipped at the deadline if the Wings are not competitive? Shane drops us there. What are your thoughts over there too? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about this Red Wings trade update and how Stevie Y has got some things to think about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this Super Chat Trolls 99. And 5.
Not going anywhere. He has signed an 8-year deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs to stay, worth $11.5 million per season. At least that's the cap hit. So it's exactly where Nick Kiprio said it was going to be. The reporter said it was going to be. It's one of the worst kept secrets in hockey, really. So there's a no movement clause the whole way through. And this is part of the reason why players do sign these contracts. So it's part of the reason why there are a lot of teams that don't give out a lot of financial money, and at some point in time, I suppose it really is. So, Nylander probably would have gotten a little bit more than that. I think $11.5 million. I think he would have gotten more than that. I think USA is big more. I think that very often on July the 1st, we look at contracts. But yeah, they don't want to lose. They want to lose that player. So where does Nylander fit? So they're very well paid, not well paid, but not only got a 4-year extension. Go for private contract is on the whole point. There's an obvious cause of the way to and the most Nylander can't trade him is part of the roster. Which is fine right now, but not obviously the contract. Matthew's contract right now is $775,000 for a year, $7.2 million If the new contract kicks in next year, it's $29.5 million. His salary being $775,000 next year. Well, we're going to drop $24.5 million. On the 3-year contract, his actual salary plan is going $900,000 basic salary, $9.1 million. Whereas tomorrow are going to go with that CPF obviously. Tavares, $910,000 in salary for the business, and then the signing bonus is also $7.04 million. And this Marner, and all these guys have no movement clauses, all of them. They all have no movement clauses, probably not to say if you want to trade them. Marner, his salary is $725,000. His signing bonus only $7.5 million. And $7.25 and $42 million, $30 million, roughly $40 million for guys. So that's where it's going. That money or rather not $10.1 million for like first and then it's just goes more for signing bonuses for other players on the roster. I had thought about putting Morgan Riley's contract up, but obviously Riley's contract up there. So it's interesting, and depending USA is obviously roughly $20 million cap hit with the other team shown. Japan is one of the kind of strike rates Rose, Giordano, Wyatt, Nylander, Martin Jones, very highly like and sorry about that. So let me know your thoughts regarding but yeah, that's why I gotta get out there. They're not good people get it. I think they are. I think.
So if you've been around this YouTube channel for a while, you may remember this video that we made back in 2016. I recognize that a lot of my demographic is older, but I recognize also some of y'all are younger, and there are many fans that have been tuning into this channel that only got into hockey as recently as, let's just say, the pandemic, or right before the pandemic, 2019, 2018. This territory, 2016 stuff, this is ancient, and it was Flyers, Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers, and Artemi Panarin of the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, if you go back to this video, you'll see that I actually wanted Gospel Spirit to win just because I was kind of rooting for the defenseman underdog. But Connor McDavid ended up making history for not winning this award. McDavid, everybody knew his reputation coming into the NHL. He was such a superstar prospect in the OHL. He was fantastic. Went first overall, exceptional status, all the things that you could get as a generational name. And he only had 48 points in 45 games played in his first season. And you could say that point production is great. It's over a point per game. This is a stellar number for a guy who's only 18, but he lost the Calder Trophy to Artemi Panarin because in Artemi Panarin's first NHL season, he played with Patrick Kane and the Chicago Blackhawks and had 77 points in 80 games played. Look, I get it, there's a conversation to be had saying that, hey, McDavid was the better player, McDavid was going to have the better career, and I guess you could definitely say that based off of the multiple 100-point seasons, McDavid has had a better career than Panarin has. But back in 2015-16, the fact that Panarin played the full season and had 77 points was better than Connor McDavid having 48 points in half the year. This was a problem, and a lot of people were arguing back and forth because Panarin was also not 18, McDavid was 18, Panarin was like 23 or whatever it was. This guy was playing in the KHL for so long, he signed in Chicago as a UFA, he wanted to play with Patrick Kane, that's exactly what they did, they were so good together. So you can understand why there was a lot of controversy with Artemi Panarin winning the Calder over Connor McDavid. But the fact that Connor McDavid was hurt and the fact that he didn't play the full season was why he lost the trophy. Why did McDavid get hurt? Well, because of one man named Brandon Manning, who isn't even in the NHL or North America anymore. He's playing in the Allsvenskan for IF Björklöven. Brandon Manning was not a superstar caliber player. He was not a top-tier stud. He was not somebody who was at the same level of McDavid at all. So the fact that you had yourselves this hit where Brandon Manning essentially just kind of shoved McDavid into the boards while McDavid was on the rush, this eliminated all of the December and January period of Connor McDavid's rookie year. He stopped playing in November, and then he came back in February. Started dominating the NHL once he was back. He was still good, and he finished off the year with a stellar point production metric. But it was too little too late, and many NHL fans were arguing amongst themselves saying, hey, Connor McDavid was so good, he's going to be better than Panarin. Why does Panarin get the trophy when he's a dinosaur and he played so much with Patrick Kane? Connor McDavid did not have anybody else on his team to ride the coattails off of, so what gives? At the end of the day, that was the verdict, and a lot of people were still frustrated about that even after the trophy was awarded. Connor McDavid went on to win all these awards, everything except for the Stanley Cup, the Conn Smythe, and the Art Ross, pretty much. Connor McDavid has won. But in 2023-2024, we may have just seen this situation repeat itself, because you had Connor Bedard get injured recently in a very similar way. And admittedly, this wasn't like predatorial or really bad in the same way that the Brandon Manning hit was on McDavid in 2015. But the culprit here is Brendan Smith, who went out there and pretty much just stood tall for the New Jersey Devils. But now, if you take a look at what happened with Bedard, I mean, everybody's talking about the hit here. He just kind of sneaks into the guy, and it's not really the most malicious-looking thing. Bedard got hurt. He's on the IR now because of his jaw. And when you talk about the Connor McDavid situation, if you wanted to say that this really is a possibility of repeating itself, you just got to look no further than what Connor Bedard has gone through now. Bedard has been producing pretty well, 33 points in 39 games played, on pace for about 70 points in an 82-game campaign, which would definitely be fine. I mean, it's not the same as what Connor McDavid did. McDavid was over a point per game, but still, I think you could say that the Oilers team that McDavid was playing with, even though it wasn't great, they still had names like Taylor Hall and Draisaitl to do something. Jordan Eberle, Nugent Hopkins. Connor Bedard has nobody. He is above and beyond the best player on this team, and it's not even close. And he's only 18. So the fact is, Connor Bedard, who was probably, I think most people said he was going to be a lock for the Calder Trophy heading into this season, he's having a season worth of the Calder, honestly. Like, you talk about all the other guys who have won the Calder after Bedard, or not after Bedard, after McDavid, excuse me. Austin Matthews, his point production, he had a lot of goals, but he only had 69 points in 82 games played. Connor Bedard is on pace for more points in his rookie season compared to Matthews. Even if you go over to the other guys who had produced points, Matthew Barzal, we're not going to talk about him, he had like 80 points in his first NHL season. Elias Pettersson, when he won the Calder in 2018-19, only had 66 points in 71 games. Connor Bedard is kind of in that same territory. So realistically, if Bedard was just going to go out there and finish off 2023-2024, he probably would have had a legit shot at winning. But now we don't know, because we really don't have a timeline as to how long Bedard could be out with this jaw thing. And when you think about the Calder rookie scoring race, I mean, if we talk about it right here, let's go over to the points. Marco Rossi is second with 24. Adam Fantilli has 24. Luke Hughes has 23 points. I could honestly see a world where at the end of the year, let's say Luke Hughes has, I don't know, 35 to 40 points. If he has that many points and Connor Bedard is out long enough that he doesn't really get that many games played, I could totally see a world where Luke Hughes wins the Calder. Brock Faber is an underrated name too, because he, even though he may not have the points as Luke Hughes does, he's separated by 4, Brock Faber has been such an amazing player, already arguably the best defenseman on the Minnesota Wild, such a useful, versatile, and minutes-eating guy. There are so many other rookies here. Marco Rossi, also a rookie. Adam Fantilli has been producing points. You've got Logan Cooley, Bobby Gringo doing their thing. Connor Bedard is number 1, but how long is that going to last? Are we going to have another situation like 2015 where Connor McDavid ends up losing out on the Calder because of an unfortunate injury that was out of his control? Artemi Panarin won the Calder that year, and everybody was pissed off because, hey, the game was going to be fine, but he didn't have the season that we could say Connor McDavid had. In fact, if you just isolated it, you disregard the age, you disregard the lineups, you disregard the team, you disregard everything, and you say, okay, what's better? 77 points in 80 games, or what McDavid did, 48 points in 45 games? In the eyes of the NHL voters, they put Panarin on top because the games played and the longevity played a factor. Connor McDavid was taken out because Brendan Manning was not really great at playing hockey and just decided to do this. But in the eyes of the voters, a season where the guy plays the full year and is under a point per game was more valuable than a season where the guy plays only half the year but is slightly over a point per game. And who knows if that's the same philosophy that will be applied to Connor Bedard. Now, everything can change if Bedard just comes back in like 2 weeks and he only misses like 5 games or whatever. He could go out there and take over the scoring race and have a season that, in the eyes of the NHL voters, would be...
Go ahead and start things off talking about what is how about we also have to play rewarded by the early time player that cycle with Warriors himself was also pretty good early on in the game. It's slow. Instead of chance on one, now the whole power play is so well. Power play. So that's second power play. It's very clear. It's not going to stop that will go up. Very well. First one I saw was what? The Tony on the background walk to the top. As the defense team, the defensively played. It is very impressive to watch them like that. I've had the position of how it's small and it's the power play. That was so awesome. Supposed to be going right after the minute 17 months ago. Like, there's what the shot popped up right in front of them. Very good. So, that's all they had.
working 50 hours a week, having that structure. The music I wanted more. My name is Charlotte.
Welcome back. Alright, so I want to talk about the LA Kings versus the first and second series between Winnipeg Jets and the Arizona Coyotes as I record this. Now, I decided that the games that were done earlier today, I thought, well, let's talk about the playing perspective. Most of the things but in Calgary, it feels like it's not as much good stuff, and it's only much more reaction to that for us. I want to talk about the other things. One of the things that the points in Canada think so well. The overall standings are good, but it's very low in the overview to the outside. So on the road trip, and where they're at. So they had one 4 out of 5 those games run, the 30 those games run, and put in the quarters in there. And the number one scorer is the current goal scorer. We all have to take over the run. The position on Byfield is pretty good. And I don't think any of these players would be targeted by hands, players who have necessarily been good enough over the last 5 years. With Ferrier to assists, with Ferrier there's the challenge the kind of situation where I'm talking with them. You have all those things and it's got another and they have so there's usually one on the road that are like ended. But it's the 16 on the road and it's all serious, not very fun. It's 7,500. So definitely the point of focus, not pretty much the road and that whole back as well. I talked about the getting up the site on the road. I kind of have more home rather than the other way around. But now they're finding ways to road. And the roads that they started, they want to say, on two